Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 1, Nether Realm of the Dead. Chapter 16, You're Looking for Me, Aren't You? 16th of Volume 1. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Xie Jin shouted into the nether mist, Li Wei, your senior brother Zhao Meng is in our hands. He's in terrible shape, his kneecaps have been shattered. Weren't you two supposed to be brothers? Hand over the Buddha's relic, and we'll arrange for a doctor to treat him immediately. For a single Buddha's relic, you're truly selfish. And cowardly, too, afraid of death, Haha, a regular turtle hiding in its shell. Zhao Meng's legs and right arm were broken by the steel rods, causing them to swell from blocked blood flow. Xie Tianshu ordered his clothes and pants to be stripped off, revealing the dislocated arm bones and the forward bent lower leg to the horrified onlookers. The sight was utterly gruesome, the pain seeming to pierce to the very marrow. Seeing Zhao Meng's condition and hearing his muffled groans, Xie Tianshu momentarily lost the desire to torture him further. In such agony, any additional cruelty seemed superfluous. Getting old, can't deny it anymore. Kong Fan emerged from the medical tent while buttoning his clothes. Though he muttered about aging, his radiant smile betrayed his youthful exuberance, as if he had returned to his youth. He had only been inside for 10 minutes. Xuanhuan's eyes burned with fury at the sight of Kong Fan's fleshy frame. You goddamn scum. I'll kill you. He roared. Before Xuanhuan could charge forward, a member of the kitchen staff kicked him to the ground. Kid, you've got good taste. She really is fair-skinned and supple, Kong Fan sneered triumphantly, as if he wouldn't be satisfied until he had driven Xuanhuan to madness. After walking over and looking at Zhao Meng, stripped naked and lying on the ground, Kong Fan said, haven't you gotten anything out of him yet? Xiao Lin, go to the kitchen and get a jar of chili oil. Heat it until it's boiling hot and bring it over. We'll add some extra flavor for the first mate. Not long after, the research team member called Xiao Lin returned, carrying a steaming bowl of chili oil. Kong Fan instructed, pour the chili oil onto his wounds. If he still refuses to talk, pour it into his eyes, ears, nose, and mouth all at once. The oil in that bowl must have been heated to at least 200 degrees Celsius. Just hearing Kong Fan's description sent shivers down the spines of many research team members. They couldn't imagine themselves capable of such cruelty. Only Zhao Meng remained calm, his only regret being that he lacked the strength to kill himself quickly. It was humiliating, a disgrace to his sect. Whoosh! A piercing sound of air tearing through the atmosphere filled the air. A long, golden streak of light shot out from the nether mist and struck Xiao Lin's right shoulder blade. It was a sword, the yellow dragon sword. The entire sword pierced through Xiao Lin's body, leaving only the hilt exposed. The powerful impact sent him flying, landing 2 meters away on the ground. As Xiao Lin's scream pierced the air, the scalding chili oil in his bowl slipped from his grasp and splashed onto Kong Fan's foot. Ah! Kong Fan's cry was agonizing. He hopped around, clutching his foot as blisters erupted across his foot. Clatter! Clatter! The sound of metal scraping against stone and rapid footsteps echoed through the nether mist, instantly materializing before the group. Li Wei dragged his long spear along the ground, its tip sparking a trail of fire. His speed was astonishing, rivaling even the Ghost Bear Emperor's. Just as Xie Tianshu drew his pistol to fire, the 10-foot-long black spear descended upon him like a falling mountain. The wind from its swing pierced his eardrums. PFF'd. Xie Tianshu barely dodged the spear's deadly blow. But the spear's edge struck his right shoulder, cleaving through it as easily as cutting tofu. His entire arm flew off. Boom. After severing Xie Tianshu's arm, the spear slammed into the ground, creating a deep crater. The pistol tumbled to the ground alongside Xie Tianshu's severed arm. As Xie Tianshu collapsed, he clutched his bleeding arm, writhing in agony. His vision blurred, and he teetered on the brink of unconsciousness. Brother Xie. It's Li Wei. He's alone. Everyone, let's attack and kill him together. Only now did the crowd react to the sudden turn of events. Some noticed that the long spear Li Wei wielded was the heavy weapon of the bone humans, a fact that seemed utterly absurd. But this was clearly not the time for hesitation. Led by Xie Jin, 5 people charged at Li Wei from different directions. They were armed electric stun guns, protective shields, steel rods, and even kitchen knives, a motley assortment of weapons. Li Wei glanced briefly at his senior brother in the distance, his heart already ablaze with fury. His gaze swept over the attackers, his killing intent palpable. Only 7 days had passed. How could they have become so utterly depraved in such a short time? Just 7 days ago, on the Arctic Ocean, they were laughing and joking, full of high spirits and camaraderie, enjoying each other's company. But now, Xiao Li, be careful. They're too many. Lao Lu, the head of the technical team, finally dared to speak, his hands still bound. The others shared Lao Lu's joy at seeing someone finally take on the thugs, a glimmer of hope in the despairing darkness. But they were also deeply worried. After all, Li Wei was alone, hopelessly outnumbered. Even when facing an encirclement by 5 opponents, Li Wei remained unfazed. A scorching chi flow surged from the sole of his right foot, propelling him forward in 2 lightning-fast leaps. Each leap covered a full 10 feet, his spear sweeping horizontally. Bang! The kitchen staff member wielding a cleaver would have never imagined that Li Wei could move like a leaping ape, practically soaring through the air. Caught off guard, he was struck by the spear like a scarecrow, sent flying dozens of feet away. The 10-foot-long black spear weighed hundreds of pounds. A blow from it could shatter every bone in one's body. The kitchen staff member crashed heavily outside the medical tent, blood gushing from his mouth and nose. He couldn't get back up, likely beyond saving. The security team member with the shield tried to retrieve the pistol on the ground. Li Wei's peripheral vision caught this immediately. He wouldn't let him succeed. PFF'd. The black spear shot forward, piercing through the shield and the security team member together, traveling nearly 30 feet. Blood sprayed across the ground. It was brutal, like mowing down grass. Xie Jin and the others were terrified, their hearts frozen with dread. They found themselves caught in a dilemma, unsure whether to advance or retreat. You're looking for me, aren't you? Come on, then. Li Wei roared, before launching himself at Kong Fan like a spring. Seeing Li Wei's inhuman strength and speed, Kong Fan dared not meet him head-on. Instead, he decisively moved to capture Zhao Meng, intending to use him as a hostage. Without his black spear, Li Wei's speed increased further, making him as swift as the wind. Before Kong Fan's hand could even touch Zhao Meng, a gust of wind slammed into his face. So fast. Kong Fan was terrified. He abandoned his attempt to seize Zhao Meng and threw a full-force punch forward. His hands were protected by the immortal artifact, the silver silk gloves, granting him extraordinary strength. Li Wei neither dodged nor blocked, meeting Kong Fan's punch head-on. Bang! Kong Fan felt as if he had struck an iron wall. His fingers throbbed with pain, threatening to snap, and the bones in his entire arm crackled ominously. This single blow shattered his extraordinary dream, forcing him to confront the reality that he was merely immortal. Horrified, he turned and fled. Li Wei pursued him, casually pulling the yellow dragon sword from Shaolin's shoulder. After only 7 steps, he caught up to Kong Fan and slashed his back with the sword. PFF'd. A half-meter-long, palm-deep wound appeared on Kong Fan's back, slanting down from his left shoulder, severing his spine. With a short, strangled howl, he collapsed forward. Just then, Sima Qin and 2 disheveled members of the security team rushed out of the medical tent. Seeing Kong Fan bleeding profusely from his back nearby, and Li Wei standing like a blood-soaked demon with his blood-stained sword, all 3 were so terrified that they stumbled and fell to the ground. Li Wei ignored them and turned to leave. Swoosh. With a casual wave of his yellow dragon sword, he severed the ropes binding Xuanhuan's wrists. Then, leaping over 3 meters into the air and covering a distance of 5 or 6 meters, he swung his sword down at a figure who was reaching for a pistol. The figure, a member of the security team, clutched the pistol, a manic grin spreading across his face. The yellow dragon sword descended from the sky, cleaving through his neck. His head tumbled to the ground like a rolling gourd, blood gushing from his severed neck like a fountain. Li Wei's clothes were instantly soaked crimson. He kicked the pistol toward Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan snatched up the pistol and charged toward the dying Kong Fan, firing 3 shots in rapid succession. With each shot, he roared in a guttural voice, his entire body consumed by a frenzied rage. Then, he turned his fury toward the disheveled trio of Sima Qin and the 2 security team members. The 3 men fled in terror, running faster than they ever had before. Xuanhuan pursued Sima Qin, firing shot after shot. On the 4th shot, he finally hit his target. Sima Qin was shot in the thigh and collapsed to the ground. Seeing Xuanhuan closing in, he immediately knelt and kowtowed, begging for mercy. Xuanhuan, we're classmates. You can't kill me. Killing me would be against the law. Bang! Bang! Xuanhuan gritted his teeth, his eyes blazing with fury, and ignored Sima Qin's pleas. He continued firing shot after shot. He didn't know how many bullets he fired, but he kept pulling the trigger even after emptying his magazine. With no bullets left, Sima Qin lay on the deck, his head riddled with bullet holes. Xuanhuan trembled violently, his breath ragged. Then, clenching his molars, he raised his pistol and smashed it repeatedly into Sima Qin's face until the entire skull was reduced to a bloody pulp. Only then did he collapse to the ground, utterly drained of strength. The other 2 members of the security team, still half-dressed, had already plunged into the nether mist, too terrified to look back. Gradually, silence returned to the deck. Qi Shanshan walked along the railing, her footsteps light and measured. Her beautiful eyes were wide with astonishment, unable to believe that Li Wei was so powerful, having single-handedly defeated all their opponents. Gazing at his upright figure, sword held horizontally, and his calm, handsome features, ripples stirred in her heart. She couldn't help but admire Kai Yutong's discerning eye. Xie Tianshu's arm was severed, a pool of blood spreading beneath him as his face grew increasingly pale. Xiao Lin's injuries were less severe, but he dared not stand. Any slight movement would draw Li Wei's gaze. That gaze was no different from the Reaper's stare. Xiao Lin stammered, I didn't do anything. Kong Fan forced us. He threatened us. Brother Li. Brother Li. I won't dare again. I'll do whatever you say from now on. Ignoring him, Li Wei fixed his gaze on Xie Jin and another security team member holding an electric stun gun. Simultaneously, he channeled scorching qi flow along his silver veins, heightening his hearing to its sharpest acuity. Lao Lu had warned him to be wary of Chen Hong. The rifle was in Chen Hong's hands. It was Chen Hong who ambushed his senior brother, leaving him so severely wounded. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.